Alrighty. 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 So double check. I will get started in about a minute or so. Let's wait a little longer to see if any more join. If not, we'll get started. It's time 7 o'clock. Seeing how far behind I am on the stream. Oh, about 30 seconds to a minute. Alrighty, I'll get started in a second. For the people that are here, I'm gonna refresh my stream just to ensure I'm not too far behind. I know. It's a full. Might be better actually if you are watching here and you want to ask any questions or anything, maybe do it in the Discord chat. Might be slightly easier. Just because I forget to look at the actual YouTube live stream given I've got this on. Oops. But you guys can hear me all okay? Is that all good? I can confirm to start. Maybe, I don't know if I've done this right. Nope, no one wants to message. Well, hopefully it's working. No one's talking in either chat to let me know if that it is or not, but I'm just gonna get started because it's 7:03. Hopefully I'm not talking to myself and this is working. So I'm just gonna get started anyway. Thanks for those that have come. Obviously we've got back-to-back live streams tonight and tomorrow night. given I went up to do a token talk for CoinStash, our exchange partner, which many of you know, and I unfortunately stuffed the recording of it, which I said I was going to record for you guys and obviously show you, so I felt kind of bad that it stuffed up. So for those that did want to kind of see that, I'm doing it tonight instead. So without further ado, I'll get started now. Some of this introductory stuff I'll just go over where a lot of you will know it regardless. So it'll be a little bit on mining, a little bit on what the Trading Academy is, etc., etc. But I thought I'd just go through it, given I am going to record this, and you guys can watch it back in case there's stuff about our businesses that you didn't know, or so on and so forth. So we'll get into this. I'm just seeing, okay, so it uses the arrow. So quickly run over what Mining Store does. Most of you should know, but we have a holistic approach when it comes to cryptocurrency and blockchain investing. And obviously that starts out with acquiring BTC. Now, obviously a lot of us mine Bitcoin, or we choose to dollar cost average and accumulate in bear markets. But on the mining side of it, the benefits are pretty clear. Now, the main benefit is that it eliminates the need to time the market, because all you're doing is passively exposing yourself to Bitcoin through mining Bitcoin at no matter the price that it is, consistently on a day-to-day basis. So it's highly scalable. As noted, you achieve dollar cost averaging, and yeah, most of you that come to us, hi Nat, hi Kalia, how you going? Most of you that do come across to the Trading Academy would have exposure to Bitcoin one way or another, whether that is through buying it yourself over the last couple of years or mining it. And then, of course, what you do here, where it's a bit more risk on, is you allocate a percentage of your portfolio to altcoin trading and investing. So, obviously, for those that don't know, if you did want to mine with us, you purchase hardware. We host it in one of our facilities overseas in Europe, Asia, or the USA, and you pay power bills monthly with AUD or with cash. That's the idea. And then you passively build exposure to BTC, and the idea is that BTC goes up over a long period of time. And obviously, the exposure and gains you're making on that Bitcoin overcomes the power bills you're paying. So what do we recommend? Obviously, S21 or new generation miners, where we host your machines. And you might ask, why do we host them overseas? That is because it's not economical to mine in Australia. It's far too expensive. Therefore, you need to take advantage of overseas power, which is much cheaper, almost 1/3 of the cost. And this is how you accumulate Bitcoin over a long time horizon. So hopefully that makes sense. Obviously, the sister company to Mining Store is obviously Imperial Wealth Crypto. That's why you guys are here. So what does Imperial Wealth Crypto do? You guys should know this already, but we do education. We've got a free knowledge center for those that know. There's a news section that you've seen Andre continue to produce news articles on this week. We've got different courses which teach you how to trade, how to invest, and then we have more advanced courses, which is my advanced course that I run myself. This is very highly detailed technical analysis. Now, this is the technical analysis that you guys see weekly in market updates, in coin analyses, throughout the Discord and the technical analysis channel, so on and so forth. So the Trading Academy that you guys have, you really need to view it as a one-stop shop for cryptocurrency investing. So it's a long-term hodl service. We invest obviously in altcoins in which we seek to hold. Yeah, Australia is pretty stupid. You are right. Yeah. Don't get us started on the way we run our economy. Particularly in terms of commodities, we could get started on gas and iron ore and coal and all of that, but unfortunately our government doesn't really want its citizens to win out as much as other countries. So, but without getting distracted, sorry. So you've got it's a long-term hodl service. Now, I might actually quickly go back over this in case people didn't know. Obviously, a lot of it is run through the Discord, but you have different aspects of the Trading Academy, such as research reports, token analyses updates, video updates, and a weekly live stream, which is now Discord communication. So if you're getting lost, this is the research reports here. This is a new aspect that was added to the Trading Academy late last year. So you'll get pretty in-depth research reports, which we'll actually touch on this one a bit later. It's part of this presentation, which altcoins, Bitcoin, we went over the Trump mania, and then you've got different ones that teach you how to unit invest, process of accumulation, dollar cost averaging. You've then got your market updates, which is usually weekly or bi-weekly. Now, this is really important for those that want to stay on top of the market, both macroeconomically and financial markets wide. So obviously I do stuff on the DXY, we look at yields, I've got different theses there, and this helps guide our long-term time horizon and why we are still holding altcoins. You got gold charts, stock charts, then we move on to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and alts. That makes the basis of keeping on top of the market once per week. And then obviously that I've been sending out today, we've got token analyses updates. So this entire last kind of 5 to 7 days, I've updated every single high conviction investment of ours and provided you all with in detailed updates, updating you on the fundamental and technical aspects of those coins. So for instance, I think I did Chainlink yesterday. You get a full in detail of the updates to Chainlink fundamentally. So different partnerships have had, different things they're building in the real world assets world with Swift, UBS. Trump's World Liberty Financial has been investing heavily in Chainlink. And then you'll obviously get token analysis stuff, as well as accumulation DCA zones for those that need to accumulate further, so on and so forth. But you guys know all that. And then we have DeFi. That obviously comes in through Hish and Clint, and that's to do with earning yield on those coins that you do hold over the long term and how you can actually earn more than just holding them. But yeah, tying it all together, the mining and Bitcoin spot buying that leads to altcoin investing, which then leads to DeFi, which can then lead to advanced trading, creates a flywheel effect with compounding and strategy. And it allows you guys to understand that there's so many different angles you can approach this market. It isn't just buying coins and holding them like we do in the Trading Academy, but it's trading them, it's hedging them using delta neutral positions, which I'll touch on a bit later, so on and so forth. So really the gist of this whole talk, and probably what you guys find more interesting, is I'm going to go through the cycle so far, but more important, how to navigate the rest of it, and why I have taken an approach to a really different approach to price cycles, where you could kind of just park in whatever alts you wanted and you made a lot of gains. Whereas this day and age, it's not the same. The cycle is vastly different to prior ones, and it's a lot tougher. So we've had to change our approach. So the cycle so far, so what has it been? It's been a very Bitcoin cycle, hasn't it? So unfavorable for alts. Bitcoin dominance has captured over 20% from late 2022 bottom. So this reinforces how important it is to have a Bitcoin holding. It's a must, and only a small portion of your portfolios in total should be allocated to altcoins for speculation, trading, and investing. Only select few altcoins from prior cycles made new all-time highs. Solana obviously is one of those. I sent out a token analysis update for Binance Coin or BNB today. That's another one that's around its 2021 all-time highs, and another good example of one that obviously has surpassed its prior peak, and many haven't. Majority of the top 20, 30, 40, whatever way you look at it, have not surpassed their 2021 peaks yet. And only a select few altcoins have. So, and now it's never been more important to only hold select ones as opposed to 30 to 40 different coins. It's much better to have high conviction in, say, 5 to 10 to 15 and go from there. Obviously, there's a photo here of Bitcoin dominance. I don't have to show you guys that. You guys see it many times in the market updates, and you should know this chart by now. So why is this? Now, I obviously dive into this in research report, the altcoin research report, very heavily. It's a very large part of that. But essentially, it's because of the issue of fragmentation and dilution. Now, back in the day, when you'd invest in altcoins, or when it was time to invest in altcoins, say on a large dump on Bitcoin or an altcoin market, you used to be able to just select kind of spread yourself out thin, because there was only 500 alts in total. There was only 10,000 or 20,000 in the last cycle. In this day and age, the issue of fragmentation and dilution is there's millions of these coins that get launched almost every day due to launch pads. So including memes, politics, RWA, AI. It doesn't matter what narrative you look at. Every single narrative has an insane amount of fragmentation and dilution. And yeah, it's really reached unprecedented levels this cycle due to the easiness of creating tokens on launchpads such as Pump Fund, so on and so forth. And, anyone can literally rock up with less than $100 in liquidity, create a coin or whatever they want, and kill a lot of people in the market. So this oversaturation has pretty much been really destructive on the altcoin market. I won't lie about it. I won't shy away from it, and it's because of these 4 points. Now, one of them is capital dispersion. So there's a limited pool of speculative capital that would obviously, this is what I just explained, into established altcoin. So now when the market crashes, everyone chases a billion different coins. Back in the day, it might be that majority of people were reinvesting into Litecoin, into Phantom, into whatever it was. And people are chasing this casino-like altcoin market where They'll see, really high volatility of these meme coins, but they all trend to zero. Go and look at every Solana meme coin we've ever talked about. Majority of them are trending to zero, and they will trend to zero. And by the next bear market, you won't see any of them around. And so there's a different risk perception now. The prevalence of scam, rug pulls, and failed projects in the meme coin space has pretty much reinforced Bitcoin's position as the safe haven. Um, People repeatedly just lose money on alt after alt after alt. They tend to exit the market entirely, which we've probably seen a lot of this cycle. A lot of people giving up by this stage. Or just retreat to Bitcoin, right? So this is probably why you've just seen Bitcoin continue to climb and climb in a bullish market structure, making consistent higher highs and higher lows. So yeah, this means that there's attention fragmentation. No longer is it just a couple of narratives or industries. It's not like everyone's focused on gaming at one stage or whatever it is, which are highly utility-like industries or narratives. It's that there's a constant stream of new narratives being shifted to month after month. So as I said here, if you remember back in 2020, 2021, we got the DeFi summer, NFT boom. So everyone was just honed in on kind of a few narratives, whereas here the current landscape, is so short. It's like last month, if you guys remember, with Anon, which is one of our investments now that's down a fair bit. AI or DeFi, decentralized artificial intelligence was a massive thing last month, and then the month before it was meme coins, and then the month before it was politics or whatever it was. And this constant rotation through narratives is just killing people, and it's making it difficult for any single sector or major altcoin to build sustained momentum. And the easiest example I think of that is artificial intelligence, right? You've got these amazing projects such as Potenza, Tau, and Fetch and stuff that can't really capture their large earlier cycle gains or get the momentum they want, because everyone that's supposed to be putting money into these coins that does believe in AI is chasing these other AI meme coins or these LLMs that are just absolutely nothing. And this is leading to retail capital destruction, right? So high-risk meme coin trading has led to pretty much unprecedented levels of capital destruction. As I said, people might lose 50 to 70% on altcoins before a huge market recovery. Now those meme coins are dying off, and people aren't getting their money back. They're being used as exit liquidity. You saw this on the Millennia coin, the Libra coin. I could go through so many examples. But as I said here, conservative estimates suggest that over 99% of newly launched coin tokens back in 2024 are all resulting in losses for buyers. And it creates this negative feedback loop, right? So as retail investors lose money on meme coins, they have less capital available to invest in legitimate altcoin projects. Like I used examples of AI then. Reduced buying pressure on major altcoins has allowed Bitcoin to maintain its market structure. As institutional sophisticated investors such as your Michael Saylors, your BlackRocks, and all these guys, they're not buying these stupid altcoin narratives. They're not hopping from narrative to narrative. They're just buying Bitcoin daily, right? So this contrast with previous cycles was pretty stark to me. As I said, we're flowing from Bitcoin into Ethereum. You'd then get Ethereum into more established altcoins, then to mid caps, and then you'd finally get the small speculative players, where we did it in reverse this cycle. Meme coins was the first thing to pop. All the speculation was at the start, and it caught everyone off guard. It's been disrupted by that immediate availability of extreme risk opportunities. And the traditional market progression that we had in prior cycles really hasn't occurred. So, yeah, essentially what this has meant to me is obviously over the last kind of 6 to 12 months, I've had to kind of necessitate a fundamental shift in altcoin investment strategy. As I said, there's no longer a rising tide that Bitcoin provides for all altcoins. The extreme market fragmentation has created an environment where selective concentrated positioning in high conviction tokens has become crucial. So let's get into that. I probably won't go over these too much as I went over them, prior, kind of talking about this. But with liquidity spread thin across thousands of tokens, it's more important to just stay with those high conviction major altcoins. If you go back to early in this cycle, which have been the best performing altcoins for us, it's been tokens like Solana, it's been BNB, it's been Doge that are up, over 500 to 600%. And it's they've demonstrated their ability to attract and retain capital throughout market cycles. So there's no point in spreading yourself thin on, I go back to earlier in the cycle where we would invest in really awesome projects that would get up on a lot, but as soon as the narrative would move on. So BCB and high-low is a part of gambling, decentralized gambling. That's two really good examples there, if anyone here remembers those. And people move on, and people haven't come back. But if you're just stuck with Solana, BNB, Doge, Bitcoin, Ethereum to an extent, and this is because they have established ecosystem depth. There's strong network effects. They have clear use cases, robust institutional support, and they're here to stick around. They're not ones that fade narrative to narrative. And of course, high conviction tokens typically command their own sustainable narratives. So Solana, which we're seeing a drop off now, and I've spoken about my short-term bearishness on it, but it's the highest performing L1 with the largest meme coin demand. Memes have been here to stay. They might be disappearing now, so this point may change. But that's why Solana has been able to sustain pretty high prices, because the gambling casino rolls on. People are going to gamble all the time on meme coins. People are going to keep launching meme coins on pump fund. So Solana can sustain that high demand because people require Solana to then trade on that layer one and then invest in meme coins. BNB, as I pretty much mention in every update I do for BNB, it's the largest centralized exchange on earth. It continues to grow. It has majority of mind share, of market share, of volume per day. It has proven utility in regular token burns for BNB or Binance Coin itself. And yeah, so that's not going to change, right? You've literally seen, I showed in the market update today, here, if we go to BNB, where are we? Oh, my eyes are broken, I can't see it. There it is. Um, if you go to BNB and take a look, uh, sorry, I'll get rid of that. And we go back to price cycle highs, you can see why it's just maintained its relative strength, right? Because of those points I made, as opposed to a lot of alts came down here and they might only be at this stage here or drifted back down into its bear market. So Doge is obviously another one. I won't show that, but longest standing meme. If you got Elon Musk in its corner and you've got a Department of Government official that's shoved down American consumers and ourselves in the crypto community's face every day. It has ETFs submitted now, same as Solana, even same as coins like XRP. They're going to have sustained performance if they have these institutional backings of very big players. We won't go really too much through liquidity clustering, but there's reduced portfolio management overhead as well. If you're in just a certain amount of high conviction tokens, you get better position monitoring, more effective risk management, reduced transaction costs, and lower cognitive load. If you're trying to kind of scan and take care of 40 different tokens, keeping up to fundamental updates, making sure you're all over the charts and whatnot, I think you're going to find it pretty tough to keep on top of it. So that's obviously a few other benefits of having just highly concentrated, high conviction positions. Um, so why concentrate? Sorry, and continuing here. So asymmetric recovery potential. So when Bitcoin does make significant moves, established altcoins are typically first in line to benefit. So I can imagine right now, if you see a pretty deep recovery on Bitcoin, probably the first major tokens to probably bounce if Bitcoin does get a thrust above, let's just say 100,000 in the next few days due to FOMC or PPI decisions, whatever it may be, that if Bitcoin does hold here, breaks this downtrend, the first, like I can guarantee you that the tokens that will outperform are Hyperliquid, your Sonics, Sol might get a really big rebound from its sell-off, BNB, so on and so forth. The best performing ones aren't going to be your meme coins. They're not going to be these smaller speculative caps. They're going to be the ones that have these sustained performances and high conviction that a lot of the market has. And what this does is creates better risk reward profiles and trying to catch out multiple smaller movements across multiple smaller speculative coins. A time may come for that later in the cycle, maybe if the market is more mature and well behaved, and potentially if Ethereum is doing its thing. So this creates a new market reality, right? So as I've said, Bitcoin can no longer just trigger broad market wide rallies. It requires, this market requires you to have tokens that have proved their worth independently and that have survived, so that have real user adoption, such as like Solana, like your Sonic right now, have sustainable tokenomics, strong community backing, clear competitive advantages. Seeing that a lot with Sonic now. It's got that TVL growth coming in. It has that massive, strong community backing. The tokenomics are great. It's got no more unlocks. It's got no more insider VCs or calls dumping on you, so on and so forth. So, yeah. And as I've been kind of reiterating, as I've been explaining all of this is exactly why my focus, later in this cycle has shifted uh, to only focusing on limited high conviction tokens. And now, in doing that, you guys should all know by now that my key trends that I'm going to be focusing around this year so far are artificial intelligence, decentralized finance, real world assets, layer ones, and meme coins. Depending, memes are a bit iffy right now, but I'm not willing to just throw them aside because this market is insanely stupid. People are naturally gamblers. Humans love a casino, and I don't think they're going to go away anytime soon, despite all this ridiculous FUD. Maybe they have topped, given nation states such as America and Trump and Argentina in Libra and whatever his name is, I can't even remember it, have launched memes that could present a pretty horrific top for them. I'm unsure if you can really launch any memes that are better than that, can you, than the President of the United States. Um, but yeah, they're still going to be a focus of mine regardless. Doge, Pepe obviously being my two main ones, which we'll talk about in a second. But artificial intelligence, now explaining why artificial intelligence is obviously a main high conviction of mine, is because the intersection of artificial intelligence and blockchain is incredible. You guys should have experienced that by now if you've been in this market long enough, whether it's AI-powered trading, bots. We've seen even with, AIXBT and these kind of decentralized artificial intelligence agents online, the things that they can do by themselves already is crazy. Optimized smart contracts, AI focus, AI governance tokens. And yeah, AI computation data marketplace, it's huge. AI is kind of going to be the next dominant technological trend of our era. We saw NVIDIA become the largest company on earth just as a result of this and the chips that they manufacture that are required for AI computation. And really what crypto does here is it provides a decentralized infrastructure for this AI computation and model training. And there's going to be continued growing demand for it. Now, I know it's spread kind of thin at the moment, but I do believe that we get reversion, which I've mentioned in a lot of my updates, back to the main AI companies when it proves that they are the ones with the true uniqueness and utility. And obviously, my highest conviction one outside of Fetch, which we have really good gains on this cycle, is Potenza Tau, which you guys should already know pretty clearly. What is Potenza Tau? Just 3.1 it's a decentralized AI network with native token incentives. It's a proof of intelligence consensus mechanism. It's a growing ecosystem of AI validators and developers, which extends to what's happened in the last week or two, right? We've seen Dynamic Tau, their own ecosystem, get released. Well, you'll now see a lot of coins, projects built on Tau using its computation and its artificial intelligence. So that's something I'm really looking forward to seeing, kind of play out over the next few months. I know right now it's a bit of pain with the market and altcoins, and particularly major AI coins aren't really performing how we want them to. But I'm pretty confident Tau should outperform most high conviction AI projects. So real world assets is obviously a really big one, and I think the biggest kicker here is looking to what the Trumps are investing in, what institutions like BlackRock, and I mentioned here Fidelity and others, want to invest in. We had the Ondo Summit last week, I think, when I did this talk, or the week before, sorry. And what is real world assets? The tokenization of traditional assets like real estate, like commodities, like bonds, like private equity. Now, I think if you were to kind of have the viewpoint right of what are the institutions investing in, and you thought, 12 to 18 months ago, okay, it's Bitcoin, and you only invested in Bitcoin, right? You've outperformed 99% of the market. I don't think it's too different here. If they're going to move on from Bitcoin and start to diversify into different blockchain technologies, I think real world assets, and, Larry Fink's going on CNN, whatever it is, and talked the house down on how important he thinks blockchain technology is becoming and what he wants to see it do, and it's the tokenization of things like the stock market. That's what he wants to see. Why is this? Is because it brings improved liquidity, fractional ownership, and obviously 24/7 trading to traditionally illiquid assets, but more so this technology in blockchain is far more efficient than anything that's used in the traditional finance world. So that's why you're seeing them into the space. Institutional demand for regulated, compliant crypto exposure, that's what this will be. And so my example is obviously Chainlink and Ondo, which are two of our biggest high conviction investments for this cycle. Chainlink, which you got an update on yesterday, and Ondo last week, you should know all about it. It's essential Oracle infrastructure for RWA price feeds, and then obviously Ondo Finance is regulated tokenized security and bonds. So we've already got the bonds there, the yield on cash bonds in America. So it's really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what those two American projects in particular can do under Trump in the coming years, but more so this year. Layer 1s, now what are layer 1s? Layer 1s are your Solanas, your Sonics, your Hyperliquids, and they're essentially base layer blockchain networks. Sorry, I should say Ethereum first and foremost being the biggest one. So obviously what are these? This is where people build on layer 1s. So, a project that we might be invested in, say Grass, which is a decentralized computation network that's built on Solana for artificial intelligence. So Solana is layer 1. You can then build projects on Solana, right? So the focus here is on scalability, security, and interoperability. I don't think it matters what cycle it is, what narratives are going past. Layer 1s should be self-explanatory here as to why they're important. That's because it's fundamental infrastructure for all crypto innovation. so on and so forth. It's a base layer for DeFi, for NFTs and emerging applications to be built on. So obviously my 4 highest conviction ones that you should know are Ethereum, which is the largest by total value locked. I think it's got 8 times Solana, which is the next best. It's got about 60 billion in funds locked on it for its projects. I think Solana's next best at 8 billion or so. Hyperliquid is obviously my highest conviction layer one of recent times that you guys invested in. I think we're up 300% or so on that investment, and we put a fair bit into it, which is great. Hyperliquid just literally a couple of hours ago, as I showed you, released Hyper EVM, which is an extension on its layer one technology, and you can see that it stands alone in this market right now as Bitcoin chops down and alts bleed out. Hyperliquid, if we look at the minute it launched, you'll see the God candle on it. Yeah, there you go. Retrace the whole thing as all the degens go to, sorry, I've got a really itchy nose. It's like I've got hay fever right now. You can see the God candle. We went from instantly 25 to about almost $28 these are 2 5-minute candles. So in 10 minutes, retrace the whole thing, and hopefully, the long-term trend is up. As I showed in the update yesterday, which is really cool to look at, is actually the best way to look at our altcoin outperformance is pricing it in other layer ones or other big assets. So here's the hype to ETH chart from early Jan, and you can see how hype, despite ETH just going sideways, and you can see from early December even more so, before hype had a decent pullback and ETH did all right. You can see its outperformance, and I expect hype to outperform majority of layer ones, whatever that is, given its release of Hyper EVM and its really unique specialized technology in perps trading that hasn't really been seen before, and given it's a decentralized exchange of such nature, it can really challenge things like Binance and other exchanges, and that's what makes it so unique and why it's such a high conviction of mine. Sonic is self-explanatory. You guys are probably sick of me shoving Sonic down your throats, but you should also know my thesis there. For now, right now, it's honestly one of the best places to do DeFi. If you're interested in DeFi, please get across to Sonic. Get some of your Sonic and some of the DEXs, begin earning yield, because if your Sonic's just sitting there, you can be earning a lot more on it. So, well, that takes us to our next one. So something I'm really big on is decentralized finance. And the main reason here is the potential favorable regulatory environment under Trump. There's growing institutional interest in decentralized financial services, but more importantly, given Gary Gensler and the SEC have been replaced with a new regime, we should begin to see DeFi really flourish. Hence, I want to be on the right side of it in projects like Sonic and Hyperliquid that promote DeFi, because what they have is lending protocols, yield aggregators, and DEXs built on them. So I'm really keen to see DeFi for the rest of this cycle as well. Meme coins, won't go too much into it, but community-driven tokens are projects that gain value through social momentum. Doge and Pepe are obviously my 2 biggest ones, Doge being the original meme coin of crypto. It's got Elon's backing, the Department of Government Efficiency, as I mentioned before. And then I do expect at some point this year extreme Ethereum outperformance, whether you think I'm crazy or not. And Pepe is the leading meme of Ethereum. It is also pretty much ingrained in internet culture as the meme of the internet. So I want to be with those 2. So why am I with these? Well, each of these narratives represents a different facet of crypto's evolution that I think is going to be extremely important in 2025. AR represents the innovation, RWA represents institutional adoptions, Layer 1 represents infrastructure maturity, DeFi represents financial innovation, and memes represent retail participation. So I believe personally for 2025, selecting high conviction investments each category this year should yield you pretty strong returns. Alright, so obviously, if you guys know, I have an entire research report that's dedicated to profit taking, which I'll quickly show in case you don't know where it is. And I have an entire research report here that you should go through, including the one of the process of accumulation dollar cost averaging, because what these research reports allow you to do is understand the type of investor you are, whether that's with capital allocation, but understanding your risk profile more importantly. This has a number of different methods that you can use for profit taking. You can either just obviously copy me. I recommend most people don't do that. You go through this research report and you really find out what type of investor and risk profile you have and begin planning a profit taking strategy that suits you. So what most people do is they do the all-in approach. They might get to crypto and they put all 100% of their capital into a few coins or 100 different coins all at once. And then I'll sell them all at once. Obviously at IW Crypto, if you've been here for any amount of time, that we employ dollar cost averaging for both buying and selling. Now that should be very clear in the research report. So what is dollar cost averaging? It's the practice of investing or selling a fixed amount of money at regular time intervals regardless of the asset's price to average out both entry and exit price over time. Obviously, the way I do it is through technical analysis of certain support or resistance levels to dollar cost in and out of the market. So this is what we did in the bear market, and this is why we achieved a a $20,000 average buy in Bitcoin. Initially, before the prior ETH buy, it was 1,500. Solana $25. Chainlink $6, I think. Doge, because all I did was set out support levels in the bear market. I set limit buys at those buys. For those that didn't know, we triggered those buys on the exchanges we used, and then we simply held. That's as easy as it was. Why do you do this? Because it's characterized the market by extreme volatility and cyclical behavior. Majority of people round trip their investments because they ride it up during the bull market. They fail to take profits. They think the market will bounce back and their gains evaporate during the bear markets. All of us are cyclical long-term altcoin investors. Should all be medium-term to long-term investors, of course, which is buying in the bear market and then selling out in the peaks, not holding through them. Hence, a more balanced approach should be considered. So with dollar cost averaging into the market, it's optimal in a bear market, but it's also optimal at the market peaks as well. Everyone is different. Everyone will take profit differently. Find what works for you, given everyone's context is different. This is what particularly works for me. Dollar cost averaging in and dollar cost averaging out. So how do you prevent the round trip? Set clear objectives, define specific profit targets, write down your goals, create action plan, regular review and adjustment. This is all in the research report. You guys have probably read it before, probably don't need to hear me say all of this again. So yeah, I will just go over the common pitfalls. So emotional decision making is the worst thing you can do in crypto. Ignoring market cycles, overconfidence, etc., etc. You know all of this. So how do I do it? So obviously in my profit-taking research report, I talk extensively about how I'm going to, well, in the Bitcoin one in particular, do it based on on-chain Bitcoin and altcoin cycle metrics, but also tie in macroeconomics because it would be silly not to. Given Bitcoin is kind of a beta asset now as a risk-on asset to the Nasdaq, we probably most likely, well, as we did in the last cycle, we dumped when those stock markets dumped, and then we bottomed out at the same time, and we've been running the whole way up at the same time. So it'll involve technical analysis, so fib extensions in conjunction with macro timing sentiment, as I said, on-chain indicators and more. So what is the core concept here? It's to wait for clear signs of a macro market top and use a variety of dollar cost averaging methods to exit the market. I did have key indicators there, but it must have stuffed up on the slide. But yeah, typically this would happen 18 months, I'd say, post Bitcoin halving. So that would place us at the end of this year. That is when I plan to take a lot of my profits. This is historically when it has peaked every other cycle. So this usually falls in Q4 of 2025. That should say Q1 2026 and Q4 2025. So it should present pretty handsome profit-taking opportunities, cyclically at least, where you guys should be thinking about dollar cost averaging a lot out of the market. What are some of the psychological indicators here? Extreme euphoria, media coverage, mainstream FOMO. This time is different. Everybody becoming a crypto expert. Sorry about that, Nat and Carly, if you have heard it. But yeah, it's good to go over it. Have I missed any other comments? No, I haven't. It's just you guys. So on and so forth. So I'm not going to go over this, but the technical signals are there. It's all in the research report, on-chain metrics. We've got the MVRVZ score, the pi cycle top indicator, the pure multiple, so on and so forth. Once again, if you guys need to reread all of this knowledge, please employ you to go to the process of profit taking, figure it all out. In here, I go over the strategy I will be employing, the macro top exit strategy. All of this information is all in here. And then if you go to kind of Bitcoin, you see me put this into practice of talking about where we currently sit in the cycle in terms of Bitcoin of these on-chain indicators, so that make sense to you, so you can follow them yourselves. Obviously, I've said we'll go over them in weekly live streams, but more importantly, the cycle and liquidity analysis that I include in a lot of my market updates. You probably read about liquidity in those, but you can read why here and the long-term outlook I have. And why, despite we have this shitty chop or, things happen with the altcoins or whatever, that I'm staying pretty persistent and seeing higher. And, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But historically, cyclically, data-wise, fundamentally, it doesn't look like it here. So you can have an execution strategy. Obviously here, once again, examples of this from the research report. First warning signs, reduce 25 to 30%. You can then reduce another 33 to 50%. This is an example of dollar cost averaging out, right? The advantages of this is maxes potential upside, simpler and multiple profit take levels, less transaction fees, potentially better tax treatment, captures majority of the bull run. There's just examples once more here of 2017 and 2021 and how I'll be looking for very similar things this time around. And then here, this is an interesting topic here, what you can do beyond the bull run. It goes back to my advanced trading course I spoke at the start and the DeFi. Yeah, so obviously what I've spoken to you guys about for the last bloody half an hour, whatever it's been, has been centered around the trading academy, us long-term hodling our investments and what to do there. But can you earn money beyond the bull run in the bear market? Well, of course you can, and this is where the other two services largely come into play. So in advanced trading, in bear markets, crypto gets really ugly, as it does in every other market, but particularly in the largest risk-on asset, or largest risk-on market in the world, right? So typically in prior cycles now, we can have a different discussion or argument about whether this will happen again, given the institutional adoption this cycle, whether we get sovereign states now investing in it through strategic reserves or sovereign wealth funds, so on and so forth. But particularly altcoins, they'll drop 90-95%. You can actually short these assets when it's time to short them at that macro top or at the cycle tops, and you can make a lot of money trading them the opposite way. I won't go into too much detail there, but if that's something you want to learn, then you can come and learn that in the advanced trading course. So many of us from this service, the Trading Academy, are in that. Damo, Craig, Bobby, a lot of them have traded throughout the cycle and learned that skill. And then I'm hoping, on the other side of the bear market, they'll enjoy a bit of negative price action, which we all hate. Then there's obviously decentralized finance. So, even in downtrends, your tokens can work for you through lending protocols for yield, liquidity. This is for people that never want to sell out. You might want to just hold on and hold, your investment horizon might not be cyclical, right? It might be that you want to hold these altcoins for 10, 20 years. Well, this is you, right? You can stake them. You can yield with farm with them. You can option ride delta neutral strategies. So the key advantage is maintaining your token position here for the next bull run, but whilst earning passive income on them. But there's different strategies you can do which are a bit advanced here, but one of them is obviously basic delta neutral, where you'll just hold your spot, but you'll short the futures position of the same asset for the same value. And what you're doing is majority of the time in bull or bear markets is the funding rates on these assets are positive, which means that if you short them, you actually get paid for holding that short position. So it's essentially like earning yield, right? Because if you're holding one F on spot and then shorting it the other way on perpetual futures, if F goes up or down, so if it goes up, you're earning on your spot and you're losing out on your short. But if it goes down, you're making money on your short and then losing out on your spot. But if it's going down in a bear market through a delta neutral strategy, you'll be getting paid funding fees. So it's essentially an effective way of earning yield. You can do DeFi delta neutral, which is lending plus shorting, and then there's staking plus shorting, etc., etc. And the ultimate goal here is to generate yield regardless of the market direction. That's it for now. So that was the talk I gave in Brisbane. It obviously went for a lot longer there. I've sped through it for you guys so it wasn't so boring. We did have a Q&A there, and I did go into a bit more detail about certain things, but obviously, as promised, I wanted to give those that did want to watch the Brisbane talk a chance to at least briefly see it and allow me to speed run it for you guys. Well, I think this live stream's been going for, what's the time? Yeah, almost 45 minutes anyway, so it did go for a decent amount of time. But for those that are here, I will take any questions if you want, and if not, I will see you tomorrow night for, more importantly, the market update, which I assume a lot more will be here for, where we'll run through Bitcoin. We've obviously, as mentioned, got PPI, a FOMC this week, so a huge amount of fundamental events. Bitcoin has pretty much been, it's kind of zoomed in here, but if I get rid of, we've been kind of in this ghastly range where it's just like been 97 to 95, 98 to 95, I'd say, for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 weeks now. 2 weeks that we've pretty much traded. The highest we traded is 100,000 and the lowest we traded is 95,000, but majority of it's been between 97 to 95,000. So I think the market's going a little insane. But if we've got no questions, I'll look at the Discord chat. Thanks, mate. I'll wait, 30. I'll wait another minute or so. See if anyone speaks in the YouTube chat. Whether it's any questions you've got about the services, about the Discord, anything I mentioned on any of those slides, I'm happy to answer it now. And if not, then we'll speak in the Discord, or we shall see everyone tomorrow night for the market update. No worries at all. I'm glad to provide it. I'm glad at least if at least one person gets something out of this. Whether it's just you, Kalia, then I'm completely happy with it, and happy someone got something out of it. Keen for tomorrow night as well. I think that one will be a bit more insightful and juicy. It won't be stuff you guys might already know. Hopefully we can dive into a few charts, take a few questions, and I'm hoping we actually wake up to a lot more positive price action. So we've got a bit more positivity in that live stream as opposed to just looking at some red bearish charts. Bloody hell, stock market's up, of course. Oh. Where does it all go? That's my question. Soon enough. Because this only trends up, this bloody thing. Alrighty, well I'll leave it there. There's no questions. That's completely fine. I assume there wasn't too many, as you guys pretty much knew everything I said. But thanks for coming to those that did see it, and hopefully you guys got something out of it like Kalia did. And I'll see you tomorrow for those that come.